the future ownership of Manchester United. Focus has discovered that disgruntled fans have called in one of football's major players. Keith Harris had a role in the takeovers at Chelsea, Aston Villa, West Ham and Manchester City. And now he's making waves at Old Trafford. Dan Rowan's been following the story all week.
They're playing with an icon of football, one of the most respected football brands in the world, and it's in danger.
Show your support for the Green and Gold campaign. Let's be united.
They're one of the biggest, most popular clubs in the world. On the surface, everything at Manchester United looks good as they bid for a fourth successive Premier League title. But scratch beneath the surface and there's growing unrest at a debt mountain that now stands at more than £700 million.
Green and gold, those are the colours of Newton Heath before we became Manchester United. So it's a campaign of going back to our roots, and we vowed to wear the green and gold until the Glazers are gone.
Get your match day scarf and your protest scarves here now, lads.
You don't just wipe out a club like United. I mean, take the money to one side and the fans will keep the club floating. We're here for good.
A visible protest against the Glazers, a visible protest against the leverage, and the fact that the club is now technically bankrupt in many ways.
The history of Man United, the legacy of Sir Alex Ferguson, is going to be all dead if the Glazers keep going the way they're going.
Even with all their global appeal, their wealth, their success on the pitch, you realistically think that one day they could be another Leeds United?
The prospect is there, that's the problem. Our debts are 8 times our yearly profits, and we only made a profit last year because Ronaldo was sold.
United's recent bond issue raised £500 million and helped get their spiralling debts under control. But by laying bare the amounts of money being taken out of the club by the Glazers, it provoked a furious backlash from the fans, many of whom want an immediate change of ownership. In the last 24 hours, members of Manchester United's Supporters Trust have met with wealthy investors here in the City of London, and at the heart of the discussions is a lifelong United fan and one of football's most powerful figures.
You've brokered takeovers and transfer of ownership of football clubs in this country. Are you involved? Have you been approached?
Yes, we have been approached, yes. And if we can lend our weight to doing something for the good of Manchester United and for football. None of the takers I've been involved with have involved any debt. They've been takeovers by people who had a reason for wanting to own a football club and prepared to use their own money.
What we want is the whole of the Manchester United family to unite together. And unfortunately, I think that most people in that family feel that the Glazers aren't part of the family and they're damaging the club. And so we want the whole of the family to unite really and make it clear that we want a change of ownership.
As the fans were paying their money, 75 pence of every pound they're spending is now going for the Glazers either to take out of the business altogether or to service the debts of the club. And that's where I think the big peril comes, because if those supporters, and there are rumblings clearly, if those rumblings become a revolution and they stop going, as difficult as it is for these fantastic fans to do that, if they stop doing that, then the pounds will stop coming, and then there is peril.
If you named all of the so-called red knights, if you like, then probably quite a number of those have been in discussions or approached us in the last couple of weeks.
Can you give us any names at all at this point? Or
No, I couldn't do that because obviously I don't have their permission to do that.
Who are the Red Knights?
I think there are a number of people. They've been to see me, I've had long chats with them. I know there are 1 or 2 other people in senior positions in financial services who have access to capital. What you don't know is whether the Glazers can be made to listen, but what you do know is that there is a serious intent on the part of those people who have not just support in their hearts, but the ability to muster that support from their pockets to get after this, and the time feels right.
However, the Glazers spokesman has told us they're here for the long term and insists that their interests are aligned with those of the fans. And now the club has spoken out for the first time on the issue. In a statement to Football Focus, they point to a record turnover and cash profit of £91 million. They also say that funds are available for the manager to spend, including cash from the sale of Cristiano Ronaldo, and that the bond issue has been very successful.
It's hard to understand why fans are so worried about the bond issue per se. In fact, if anything, the fans should be pleased that the club has been able to issue this bond, because it tells us that investors see this as a financially secure business and therefore gives you some confidence about the business going forwards.
How realistic is this ambition to garner enough support to be able to make a bid to the Glazers?
It depends on the Glazers' attitude, but you've got to think that their businesses in America haven't done well. They can't have done. The world generally hasn't done well in business, and they're probably highly geared in their business activities in America. So if this is an opportunity for them to take money and go, then I would hope that they would listen carefully to that, providing the money can be raised, and I'm confident it can be.
Oh, that's very interesting. Keith Harris there thinks he might be one of the Red Knights, or he knows the Red Knights. They might be riding into town, but the Glazers seem to be there for the long haul. That's what they've said in the club statement, Lee. So how do you see this panning out?
Well, that's what they said, and I suppose they've got to say that. I think if this takeover bid gains momentum, which it seems like it is doing, and by the look at the yellow and green scarves at the last home game, the fans, the power shifting back to the fans will be a great thing for Manchester United. And I think if Glazers get an option to get out, I think they'll jump.
You really think they'll go? If they offer them a big profit, they'll go?
Of course, I think they will do. I don't know that, but that's my opinion.
I think one of the eye-catching things is they're taking £22 million out of that club every year, the Glazers, and why would they go when they can take that sort of money out of the club? I think also as well the fans are particularly the way it's been leveraged, the amount of money that they're able to borrow and put the club into debt, hardly putting any of their own money in at all. I mean, it's something really that Scudamore should be looking at, and I think it was something Andy Burnham wanted to put in, talking on behalf of the government. They didn't put it in place. And this is why now these clubs have got massive debt.
What if Manchester United win the Carling Cup in about 4 weeks and win the league? Do you think this will go away?
Well, no, their debt certainly won't go away.
You're saying success will remove the...
Absolutely, because I think, they still had a massive debt in 2007, 8 and 9, but because they were so successful, I think the bottom line for Manchester United supporters is, as long as they keep winning trophies, are they really particularly bothered?
I should read this part of the statement that Manchester United they never make comments on this, but they have sent us a statement this week saying that the manager does have money to spend from the sale of Cristiano Ronaldo. He'll use it if he thinks it can improve the squad, not to prove to pundits that it exists. I think he's speaking with reference to you and others there. So there is money there.
Well, apparently, I think he needs to spend it. Certainly, the team's getting older. The nucleus of the team is getting older, and it certainly needs to strengthen it. I think that's why the fans are worried, because the team isn't quite as good as it used to be.
Well, he's just spent 10 million this week, hasn't he, on Smalling? So he's spending the money, and didn't buy Tevez in the summer. A question mark there, and maybe they regret that one.
I think summer's a crucial time. See what he can or cannot buy in summer will be the big turning point.
It's hard to see where it will all end.